Welcome back to the channel, and today this is the hair and makeup look that I will be doing. Okay, so we have a wing in the inner corner, white in the waterline, and a really bronzy brown eyeshadow look, and of course a bold red lip. So this red lip is actually from Juvia's Place, and I also used this liner from Natasha Denona. Okay, let me see what shade this is in. It's called, I think it's, okay, yeah, here it is. Okay, it's called Amelia. So Amelia on the outside of the lips. And I use a perfect red from Juvia's Place for the inside of the lips. Okay, so stick around if you want to see how I did this hair and makeup. Thank you. Okay, so I actually started off this video with my lips already on. I mentioned earlier the lip I have on. So I'm going to go right into priming. So I'm using this coconut oil. I showed the brand. Okay, rubbing this in. I really wanted my skin to be glowy and not too powdery. So I started with the oil today. Okay, now we're going right into that Wet n Wild Sienna Brown pencil. Using that to fill my brows. I actually got my brows done on this day, so doing them was pretty simple. Just started filling them in towards the tails and working my way back to the beginning of the brow. And now I'm repeating the same thing on the other side. Okay, now I'm just looking at them to see if they're to my liking. Okay, next I'm going in with my Shape Tape. Okay, going in on the other side with the Shape Tape. Just carving out the bottom of my brow. Okay, and I'm actually using a new set of brushes that I just ordered these off of Amazon. If you guys want, I can put the link in the comments. Just let me know if you guys want the link. Okay, so I'm going in with this flat brush just to carve out the brows even more. Doing that on both sides. And then I'm going to go into the front of the brow and separate in between the brows. Okay, next I'm going in with this concealer from Urban Decay. I'm going to be using this on the top of the brow. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and go in with my foundation. So I'll be using the shade Chai from Born This Way foundation. And I was going for a really full coverage look, so you notice I put on a lot of foundation in this video. I also went around my lips with this foundation just to clean up my lips. We really want that lipstick to pop, so this actually helps with that a lot. Okay, and I'm just making sure I put the foundation on my forehead, on my temples. Okay, next I'm going to get a fluffy brush to blend this in with. This is actually a kabuki style brush. And I'm just going to stipple that into my skin. Okay, now we're going over the concealer that we applied below the brow. And I'm just pinching the brush for this part and then blending downwards. Okay, then I took a fluffy eyeshadow brush and I am blending out the concealer even further. And I'm blending around everywhere where I have the concealer. Just to further diffuse that halo that we have around the brows right now. Okay, we're using these two brown shades in the crease. Just blending those back and forth. We also are going to take that down the nose on each side. Okay, I'm getting another brush out. This is going to be a smaller blending brush. Going in with another brown shade. This is a darker brown. And we're going to take that on the outer corner of the crease. Okay, next I'm going into this e.l.f. eyeshadow palette. And I'm taking this warm brown and I'm going to take that into my crease. Okay, as you can see, I'm using my Mario Badescu spray. And I'm spraying that on this brush. I'm going to go ahead and take a white pigment and put that into my waterline. So right now I'm using the Made by Mitchell color case. And I'm using the white shade. Okay, now going into that waterline with that shade. And then next we're going to go over that with the white shadow. We just want to give it something to stick to. Okay, I'm spraying even more of that Mario Badescu spray. And now I'm going to go in with this white eyeshadow from this palette. And we're putting that all into the waterline. Okay, next I'm just making sure this looks how I want it to look. Going back in with a little more white eyeshadow. Okay, then I go back in underneath my waterline with one of those eyeshadow brushes from earlier. And I'm using the medium brown shade that we used earlier to blend underneath that white eyeshadow. Next, I'm going in with my Shape Tape, the same one we used to carve out our brows. Okay, and then we're going underneath the eyeshadow, being very mindful to go underneath the eyeshadow and not over the eyeshadow. Okay, now I'm just going down the bridge of my nose. And as you can see, I put that little circle on my forehead because this is the parts of our faces that we want to be brighter than the rest. Okay, I'm going in with this blending brush, just stippling that in. First, we're going to stipple along the edges, bringing that upwards. Okay, now we're going to the other side. Once again, stippling along the edges, bringing that upwards. Now we're going over the middle part of the concealer using the same stippling motion. We're going to do that on each side. Now I'm pinching, going into the corner, blending that into the corner of the eye. Going over the blending again. Now we're going to move on to the forehead. So I'm stippling this in into a circular motion to really diffuse out that concealer. Now we're going down the bridge of the nose. And I use a different motion for this. So I flatten the brush and then I press the brush up and down along the nose. And then I do the same thing and go ahead and blend it even more. Okay, now I'm going back over my contour color on the sides of the nose, just to reinforce some dimension. Okay, once again, I'm blending out the forehead. And I'm doing my final blend along the concealer underneath the eye. Next, I'm going in with this blush from Juvia's Place. Putting it on my cheeks. Okay, and we're going to blend in an upward motion. Okay, so just blend, blend, blend. Okay, next we're going to go in with some highlighter. and this highlighter brush. And we're just going to put that on the very top points of our cheeks. And we're going to also put it on our nose. So this is like a champagne highlighter. So I put it on the tip of my nose, and then I put it right in between the eyes. Okay, next I'm going in with some bronzer. This is the Hoola bronzer by Benefit. So we're going on the forehead. Okay, then we're going to go underneath our blush, right on the cheek hollows. Okay, next I'm going to go in with mascara. Okay, we're doing the top and bottom lashes. Okay, next I'm going to apply this pair of lashes. It's a pretty wispy set. They get longer towards the outside of the eye. Okay, so I went off camera because I had to go grab my glue. So now I'm back. As you notice, I have my eyelashes on now. And I'm reapplying my lipstick. So I'm using this lip pencil from Natasha Denona. And we really want to outline our cupid's bow. Okay, then I'm going to the bottom of the lip and outlining that. Okay, next I'm going in with this lipstick from Juvia's Place. It's called Perfect Red. And we're putting that right in the center. Okay, so next we're going to do the hair. So I'm using this heat protectant called Turn Up the Heat. It's an oil-based heat protectant. We want to really make sure that's all over the hair before we start curling. Okay, next I'm using this mousse spritz. This just helps the heat tool to actually hold its shape once you curl the hair. And then I just brush it through the hair. So I always like to start with the bang part of the hair. And I'm using my flat iron on 390 degrees. So we're bending the bang under. Okay, now I'm going to the other side of the hair. Just going over it, straightening it, and then I turn it at the very ends to give it sort of a bump on the ends. Okay, we'll take another large section and we're going to straighten it and then just give it that bump on the ends. Okay, now we're recurling the bang because I actually didn't like how it looked before, so I'm deciding to curl it tighter. Okay, now I'm going to do this section next to the bang. So we're going straight and then we're turning just to give it that bump. Okay. All right, now we're going to bump this next section. First, we have to brush it out. Okay, so next we're going to brush through all of the hair.